Happy Tuesday. It's a Donno drop heading into the play-in tonight. New territory for the Miami Heat. Heat and Hawks tonight. Ethan Skolnick, the boss man, is with us. I figure Ethan's going to be on his way down to Kaseya Center. Is that what we're calling it now? How do you keep track of all these?
Kaiser Sose Arena. You've seen Usual Suspects. Basically going to have walking in a limp, out of the arena. Yeah, it's an interesting name. What do they do exactly? Do we know?
Something about software solutions, I think, for businesses. I only even know that much, and I may have gotten that totally wrong. I only even know that much because the day that the deal was announced, I read the Miami Herald article about it. I'm like, I've never heard of this company. What do they do? And that was like a week ago, so I'm just repeating whatever I think I read a little while back. So this will be the first time the Heat play in the new, because they had the UFC event there on Saturday. Heat were the Heat were on the road the other. I can't.
No. They were there Sunday. They were there
Sunday.
Udonis' final game. So no,
wow.
Well, Udonis was happy to see that, I'm sure, because he didn't like seeing the FTX stuff around because he kind of got looped in with all that stuff. I actually the not the lanyards, but when the thing they put around your neck, basically with your credential, it says FTX Arena this year. So every time I went up to UD, after of course FTX, went in the bleeper, UD was like, take that thing off. So he didn't really want to look at it anymore. So they took it off the whole building for him. So good, and they put Kaseya Center in there.
And Udonis Haslem, it's one of those things where whenever I talk to somebody who's in this community in South Florida or somebody who follows the Miami Heat, they get it. But when I talk to people who are uninitiated and they're like, why do you guys care so much about a guy who really hasn't played regularly in several years? And he's kind of on the team, but he's not really on the team. But I don't know, like Ethan, when you talk to people from other markets and other NBA cities, like how do you explain what UD means to the South Florida sports fan?
Well, it's difficult because anytime you go on any kind of a post from a national site about Udonis Haslem, it's just 29 other NBA cities, or 28, I guess, or 27, because I guess there are a couple in New York and Los Angeles. They're on there just mocking him. That's the thing. They don't really understand it, and I don't think that they ever really will. And some of it, again, has to do with this particular town. I mean, this was a one-team town, for years and years and years and years and years, and it was not, it was the Dolphins, and then this team in Miami, in the Heat, first 7 years, not really much to speak of. But then obviously it changes in 1995. And then Udonis comes in 8 years after that. And it's sort of, you just grew a whole basketball community here. And one of the people who grew it was somebody from this basketball community initially. And that's, I think, and the fact that he stayed true to it, I joke with him all the time about he can't be Mr. 305 when he lives in the 954. And he lives in the most rural part of the 954. He lives in Southwest Ranches. Like, it's not like he's living in downtown Lauderdale like I am, which at least just there's some replication of Miami. There's none in Southwest Ranches, but he's still Mr. 305 in the sense that he represents the city. He understands the city. I think that so many people in this market relate to him because this place is not what it's been perceived to be. When LeBron went to Cleveland and all the Cleveland people were talking about, oh, he's gone to real hardworking people now, as if people in Miami don't work, right? Like as if,
I know,
right? I mean, I understand it's a lot of this. It's a service economy. I get it. But like, it's as if they don't go to jobs. They don't take two jobs. They don't have to take the bus.
We all live in resorts, right? We all live in resorts on South Beach.
Apparently so. I mean, we're all in the same damn resort. I mean, it's crowded. I wonder what the resort fee is on a daily basis. But that's not really what Miami is. And the fact that Udonis, again, somebody who came out of college, was fat, could not really latch on with the team, ended up having to go play overseas, ended up playing on two different summer league teams before Miami got him, and then worked his way where not only was he a contributor in his rookie season, but then, 3 years later, Shaq, basically said, okay, I'm okay with him as my power forward. Or the next year after that, and then him playing the role, and Shaq said it in the video, the tribute video that they did, they don't win the 06 championship without him. They don't win the 06. Everybody talks about Dwayne, and no doubt, but they do not win the championship without Zoe in Game 6, and they don't win it without Udonis guarding Dirk throughout. So, he's my favorite. People know that, of everybody I've covered in 20 years. It's not It's not because I'm closer with him than any of the other athletes I've covered. It's just because I've said this before. I've never heard a teammate, and he's had about 200 of them at this point, say anything bad about him ever. Not even, and you will hear it about everybody. Trust me. 95% of Dwayne's teammates liked playing with him, but there was 5% that would kind of behind the scenes. Like every athlete I've ever covered, even about JT, not much about Zach, but a little bit. But I never heard anybody say anything negative about Udonis Haslem, who played with Udonis Haslem. Not jealousy, nothing. And I think that's a great tribute to him.
And you couldn't have written a better script for his kind of farewell, his final regular season game, which may be the last time he gets minutes in a Heat uniform. We'll see what kind of crazy stuff the play into the playoffs have to hold. But goes out there and he scores 24 points. He then scored the most points he scored in a game since 2009. Was that just the magic of the evening? Or I watch UD and I'm like, maybe we could have used him a little bit more than Spo has.
Yeah, I didn't know which way you were going to go with it. I agree with you that they could have probably used him a little more. In fact, 2 seasons ago, he played that last game against Dwight Howard for 3 minutes. Remember, 3 minutes of just frenzy. And Spo, the next season, was asked before the year about whether or not he could play more. He said he would, and he did. And there have been some pockets of this season where he has played. I don't think he would have solved a lot of their problems, but I think what that showed, again, beyond the fact that it was ridiculous for people to question his roster spot, I just not a fan of that. Yeah. But beyond that, what that showed was the level that he had to stay at all those years. I mean, you can't keep earning the respect of guys you're playing with based on what you did 17 years ago if you can't get up and down in practice. Like, nobody cares anymore. You know what I mean? Like, this is not I mean, this is not a culture. I mean, it's a culture that forgets, after the Snapchat fades. Like, that's, what I'm saying? Like, it's this, to have UD earn their respect required him to play at a high level, even if it was not in plain sight, even if it was in practice or somewhere else. I mean, they're running 5-on-5, they're running 3-on-3, they're running 1-on-1, they're running. Okay, they're jumping, they're defending, they're attacking, they're playing for, to impress the coach, to create situations where the coach has to notice them. And UD is trying to stop them from doing that in a lot of cases. There has to be respect there. And I think we saw it in that game. And the thing I liked about it was, yes, did they feed him? Absolutely. Were they playing a team that wasn't very good, that's not going to the playoffs, that wasn't even playing most of its core guys? Absolutely. But it was kind of organic. Like,
yeah,
UD, I mean, the ball moved and UD had a shot. He took the shot. He made the shot. And he made another shot. And he made another shot. And then it was like, okay, now let's get him the damn ball. And then he's taking alley-oops on the break. He's been telling me that he can still do this. I mean, I think, again, doing it quarter after quarter, night after night, stiffer competition. But it was impressive. It was fun. I mean, I was there for Dwayne's, too. And
yeah, Dwayne's was great game, also.
It was great. I mean, they were both perfect, really. Yeah. And then Dwayne had, of course, Dwayne always has some little extra, right? So then he had the game in Brooklyn afterwards, which the two of them combined. But there's a lot that came from that whole experience with Dwayne, because Jimmy was here with Philadelphia for Dwayne's last home regular season game, and Jimmy noticed the way that the Heat fan base and organization embraced Dwayne there, and that was influential in his decision. So to want to be in Miami. So it all came full circle, and it was perfect. And I actually think it was a really good send-off into the play-in for a team that has just been under a cloud the whole year. It was fun.
I mean, it's almost better that the season didn't come down to winning that final game, because then, like, we, probably wouldn't have seen UD at all. But then, do they have to put him in? So, in a weird way, it worked out better the way that it worked out.
Oh yeah, no, and I was thinking that the other day too. I mean, what would they have done? I mean, I feel like Spo gets him off the bench in the fourth quarter for what? If it's a 3-point game and meaningful, I mean, the team played like 60 clutch games the whole year. Like, it was very hard to find a game that wasn't going to be competitive or didn't matter,
So I got one more thing to ask you about UD, then I want to ask you your prediction for tonight. So what do you think is next for Udonis? Because over the last several years, he's always said, like, he doesn't want to just join the staff. Like, he wanted to be on the team, on the bench. But now that he's not going to play anymore, how much are we going to see him around?
I mean, I don't think that he's going to be on the bench. He's not going to be an assistant coach anytime soon. I mean, guys change their minds about that. I never envisioned I mean, I had many conversations with Jason Taylor during his playing days and never got the thought that he would end up working as a college assistant. Like that never crossed my mind. I always thought Zach would do that kind of thing. And it turned out Zach's the one who's wanted to get away from football afterwards, whereas Jason has sort of pulled back to it. I tend to think that UD is going to be a little more like Zach, actually. I think that he will be around the Heat, but I think he'll be an ambassador role, perhaps, sort of like Zoe is. So you'll see him around the community because not only does UD like doing it, but also gives him an opportunity to promote the other projects that he does in the community and also in business. I do think he's serious about wanting an ownership stake from the Harrison family. I mean, every time I've had a conversation with him about any of this, he has come back to that. And even the other day, I asked him about how he replaces this kind of competitive feeling that he gets in a game like he had. And he talked about business and being excited about business. But I know that it's not, he doesn't want to just be involved in franchises and that kind of stuff. He wants to be involved in this franchise. He wants to be involved and we'll see. I mean, he also told me that he was going to right a wrong. And so that means getting Dwayne back in the organization. I mean, that's really where this should end up. And I understand the value of the Miami Heat right now. And I understand that you want to maximize that, what you have, and you're not going to just give away stakes to former players just because they're popular former players. But I think that they need to figure this out. Like now I don't know what Dwayne's out clauses are in Utah or anything, but I'm watching him send T-shirts into the crowd and linger for 20 minutes after the game on the court, taking pictures with people. He belongs in Miami.
He does.
I mean, it's just kind of ridiculous, and they belong together.
So the Heat are going to be on the court tonight, Kaseya Center against the Atlanta Hawks, play in. So if the Heat win this game, they're the 7th seed. If they lose this game, they got to play again against the winner of the 9 versus the 10. So you want to take care of business tonight. They're on their home court. They're 5-point favorites, Ethan. How's this going to play out tonight?
I like them tonight. The 5-point favorite spread makes me a little nervous.
Oh, very. I don't know if they're going to cover, because I mean every game they play comes down to a final shot. So
I don't feel great about. I mean, they could overtime situation or kind of pull away with. They're a very good free throw shooting team, particularly in the fourth quarter, and so they can extend leads that way. If you're going to play at better edge, use the code 5RSN.
Boom.
But I don't know that I wothey play that particular prop. I do like them tonight, though, and I like them for a few reasons. I think, first thing, Atlanta is the most mediocre team in NBA history. They literally have gone win-loss for like 2 months. They've been hugging the 500 line the entire year, and the reason is they don't defend. Their offense has gotten better since Quinn Snyder got there. They're moving the ball more. They're shooting more mid-range. But they really don't defend. They will make things easy on Miami to get into some kind of rhythm. We know it's difficult for the Heat sometimes to get into rhythm. I also think the Trae Young thing is real. It's not just in Trae's head at this point, although it is. They just have a million different ways to guard him. Small guards don't scare them typically. And I think that they'll be okay against him. To me, the bigger concerns, they're going to let Hunter get his. My concerns for them are guys like Bogdanovich. He's hurt them before, and DeJounte Murray really hurt them in one game this year. So we'll see how that goes. Offensively, I think we know what Jimmy's going to do. Play at a Prize Picks. They got the taco up there. They got him back down to 23.5 points. So
there it is. I was just looking at that.
Yeah, that's playable. The 27.5. I don't know. I mean, but 23.5. Once it's down there, you can play it. We talk about Bam. I think the key. I think the keys tonight. One of the keys tonight is Tyler Hero for sure. He has to redeem himself after last postseason. But I said the X factor is Max Strus. It's funny because Brady thinks the X factor is Caleb Martin, and he has good reasons for that. I think it's Strus because they have to get outside shooting in this game. Atlanta is a team that they're the last in the league in 3-point attempts. I don't think people realize that. They're not a big three. People think they are because of trade. They're not. So they will try to trade twos with you. If Miami can get one guy who's feeling it from three, whether it's Lowry or Strus, they can create some distance in this game. I just think they're better than Atlanta. Boston is a whole nother conversation. And I'll just say this, and I said this morning on Starting Night. They better not look at this as, well, if we lose the first one, we got another one. Because I don't think they'll beat the team out of the other bracket. They're 1-6 against Chicago and Toronto this year. And then even if they win that game, Their reward is Milwaukee. Now Boston is no prize, but they are not beating Bucks. They're not this time around. They're not beating Giannis. So they should try to win tonight.
I agree. And by the way, and we're going to let Ethan run here. He mentioned betteredge.com and Prize Picks. We're going to talk about both of them in a second, but we'll let Ethan go because he's got to get ready, get down to the arena. Are you wearing like a suit and tie down there? Did you wear that for UD's final game?
It's a play-in game. They don't get a suit and tie. They might get they'll get a button-down shirt, and I'll wear pants. I promise. That's it. I won't go with shorts or boxer shorts or anything like that. I'll wear pants.
Well, thanks so much, man. Enjoy the game tonight.
Thanks, Alex.
Awesome job there, Ethan J. Skolnick. And make sure you, by the way, you follow him on the I'll be tweeting from the 5 Reasons Sports Twitter account tonight. Follow for all your updates on the game this evening. Follow Ethan J. Skolnick as well. And yeah, a good question there from Jay. I think we did get the answer, hopefully, that he was looking for, that, you know, he could see Udonis kind of taking a step back and not wanting to be an assistant coach, but UD is very interested in an ownership stake in the Heat, that he's very interested in acquiring a piece of the team. And I hope Mickey is receptive to making that happen, right? Whatever the deal was with Dwayne, where Dwayne ended up having to, take his money to Utah instead. I hope they can bring Dwayne into the fold, but I hope they can bring UD into the fold, because if he wants to be part of this organization with stake as a minority owner, obviously Mickey's not going to sell him 51% or anything like that. But if he wants to be a minority owner, I think Udonis Haslem deserves that opportunity to buy in and, be actually part of the group that owns these Miami Heat. And yeah, Jay, UD and Wade would be an amazing package deal. I mean, there are others who have been great with this organization over the years. Like Zoe has a special place in my heart, but Udonis and Dwayne, to me, they are the most synonymous with the Miami Heat organization and Heat culture. There have been some great ones before them and great ones after them. Obviously, Jimmy, pretty darn great one wearing the Heat uniform right now. But Udonis and Wade, to me, are the personifications of the Miami Heat. I'd like to have both of them owning a piece of the team. And I want to remind you guys, if you're looking for action on the game tonight, we mentioned the official Vegas line, Miami Heat -5. Just based on how close every freaking Heat game has been this year outside of a handful, you probably look at -5 and say, I don't know. Like, I think we'll win. I don't know if we're going to win by more than 4 points in this one, right? If you win by 5, you push, and pushing is not all that much fun. So if you go to betteredge.com, you can get the number you want, right? You can get alternative lines there. So if you're not comfortable with Heat -5, maybe you like Heat -3, Heat -2.5. The magical thing about Better Edge, and you can use our code 5RSN for a special sign-up bonus, you're betting on games, but you're not betting against the house. You're betting against other people. So that means it's a social platform, and it's fully legal in Florida. That's an amazing loophole, right? You don't have to worry about, gambling restrictions. It's not an offshore operation where you got to send your money to China and hope you can get it out of China. It's nothing like that. This is fully legal in the state of Florida. BetterEdge.com, BETTOR edge.com. Use our code 5RSN. And Prize Picks. Folks, you can make some amazing selections tonight. I don't know if you can see this, but there's a special, Taco Tuesday special on Jimmy Butler. So Jimmy Butler's normal over-under for points tonight, 27.5. It's a lot, okay? But they've got Jimmy at 14% off for this game for Taco Tuesday. So you can go, and I've already smashed the over on this. Jimmy Butler over under 23.5 points. I've got him part of my selection as an over. I've also got Trae Young over 24.5 because, I think he's going to have to try to do everything for Atlanta. I think the Heat will win the game, but I do think Trae is going to score a lot in a losing effort. So I put both of them in my selection, and that's the magic of Prize Picks. So if you haven't created your account yet or you haven't made your first deposit, sign up at prizepicks.com or the Prize Picks mobile app and use our code 5. That's FIVE, and they're going to match your first deposit up to $100. So make sure you use our code FIVE, because if you don't type in 5, you're not going to get that sweet bonus where you deposit $100 into your account. They're going to give you $100 on top of that. They're going to double your deposit if you use our code 5. And when you're on Prize Picks, you simply select 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players and predict if they're going to go over or under their stat projections. And if you get all your picks correct, you're winning real money back. And Fully legal in the state of Florida, by the way. It's easy to put your money in, credit card, PayPal, easy to take your money out. I usually use the PayPal function on there, and it's so much fun. It enhances your game experience. PrizePicks.com or the PrizePicks mobile app with the code 5. That's FIVE. John, this is one of the reasons why I love UD so much. He had opportunities to go after that 06 finals where UD was the Dirk stopper. And you heard from Shaquille O'Neal in the video tribute. Ethan brought it up. Shaq said it. Without Udonis, we don't win that 2006 championship. Dwayne was the hero, no question about it. Lonzo Mourning had a big role in that. He got a lot of love. Shaq, of course, Dwayne, of course, being the finals MVP, but Udonis Haslem, he was doing things specifically defensively that helped keep the Mavericks and Dirk Nowitzki in check and helped the Heat win that 06 championship. And after that, I guess the Mavs were so impressed, they offered UD a contract, a bigger one than he was making in Miami. He stayed, right? Udonis, let's not forget, summer of 2010, he was able to willing and able to restructure, take a little bit of a haircut so that the big three could sign together. Sacrifice after sacrifice. There was no chance in hell this guy was going to spend even a season away from Miami, right? That's the sort of dedication even Dwayne didn't have, because Dwayne did leave at one time in free agency. He ended up coming back, but he did leave at one time. Udonis Haslem, that was never even a thought in his mind. So huge stuff. Thanks again to Ethan Skolnick for joining us. I will be back later in the week for some more football related stuff. I've even got the Hard Rock Stadium background behind me. Normally I talk mostly Dolphins on this channel on the 5 Reasons Sports Network, but it's kind of a quiet week. And my usual partner for the Extra Yard, Troy Stradford, he's out of town this week. He's back home in Jersey. So maybe I'll fire up some more football content later this week. And Troy's going to be back with me for the Extra Yard next week. So huge shout out and thank you to anybody who took time out of your day to watch this. Let's go Heat tonight, my friends. We'll talk to you again next time on another episode of the Donno Drop or the Extra Yard here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. See ya.